thought that just came to my mind, or a term that just came to my mind, is responsibility in communication. In communications, we know that there's a message, there's a sender, there's a medium for the message, and then there's a receiver. And at any point, and if I remember correctly, at any point along that line from sender to receiver, there could be an issue with communication. Now, I like to particularly think that if the message is from the sender, they have more responsibility on how it's delivered than the person who is receiving it. Just give your thoughts on how those two persons share responsibility in communicating. And a lot of the time we see this a lot, like even when people don't hear them, like people don't like to apologize, especially the sender of the message. They rather put more blame on the receiver, when I'm like, you the one who was trying to get me to understand this message, and you poorly communicated it in the first place. But I do still think that the receiver has some kind of control as well, if they realize the emotional immaturity of the sender.
Okay. And what I would add is that I think effective communication requires a certain degree of selflessness. My assumption is that the person who has the message sees value in what they're trying to communicate, and therefore has a commitment to the message being able to not just be heard, but received. And so what that makes me think of is the fact that the sender or the one who's initiating communication needs to know their audience. They need to know who they are communicating with, so that they will deliver the message that they obviously value, that they will deliver that message in a manner or in a method that can be received, that can be understood by the intended recipient. I agree with you. The onus and the responsibility is on the person who has the message. It's not on the receiver. But the thing is, effective communication, the reason I believe it requires selflessness is because people will have to step out of the role of, well, I'm just going to say this. Because a lot of times when we communicate with people, we're not really concerned often if they receive it. We just want to get people told. We want to give them a piece of our mind. But when you have a real investment in your message, you're equally invested in whether or not the message will be received. And to me, that is the hallmark of someone who's an effective communicator. Because if the message is not received, what good is it? You can have great information, valuable information, life-altering information, but if you don't deliver it in a manner that will allow it to be received, or use a method that is understood or respected or valued by your receiver, all of your efforts are for naught. And a lot of times, people are not invested in that. Well, then that tells me that you're also not equally invested in your message.